Hello again, everyone. I know so much to talk about, so much to discuss, but we're going to start our next session. And it's going to be delivered by Ciara O'Hare from PayPal. And, we're talking about different businesses and how important it is for our big name businesses to kind of set the example, really, and to show some of our smaller businesses best practice, what can be done. We heard in the last session about the BBC Passport, which I think is such an incredible device to help people through the pathway and to get into, not just the jobs that we've heard about today, but to create that career pathway. So Ciara has described her own career path as varied, with one underlying theme: nothing should hold people back. She's a proud Belfast woman who's travelled home to be with us all today, and she's going to talk about the opportunity and challenges of building a team in PayPal from 1 to several hundred. You're very welcome.
Thanks everybody. I'm not going to leave the water there. It's great to be here today. I have notes in front of me, but some of you know I don't have my glasses. I left them in the car. So we're going to absolutely wing this. So if you see me looking down, it's purely to give myself a little bit of stability. So look, 2 days of opportunity that we're here for. This morning has started amazingly. I've just been so blown away already, listening to people and just being encouraged of going, let's get rid of the disability and let's look at the ability. Let's look at how we can focus on what people can do rather than what they can't do. So, as I said, as you listen to the different people talking in the different breakout groups, embrace it, take it as an opportunity. So many people here for the first time for any sort of conference like this, and it's certainly the first time that I've been at this, and I'm really blessed and encouraged. Listen to what people have to say, engage with people, and say hello to everybody, right? There's a lot of people here on their own, and I'm going to dare people right now. We're going to start with something different. I want everybody to just stand up and say hello to the people around you. Now, if you know the person beside you, say hello to the person behind you, right? And really hear where we're from. I got to say hello to you. Okay, let's come back. I've been told that there's some people ready for lunch very sharply after this session that I need to stop on time. So I'm going to keep going, and some people know I like to talk. So just the agenda of what I'm going to cover. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on me. I'm going to talk about PayPal, who is my current employer, what we're doing. I'm going to have some thoughts on people here looking for jobs. I'm going to challenge employers here as they go forwards as to what are they going to commit to. And I always ask people to leave with an action. I don't like people coming to meetings or conferences without an action. So be prepared that you're going to have to put your money where your mouth is in many ways as you leave. So I'm Ciara. You can tell from the accent, I'm originally from Belfast. I've been living down south for about 25 years now. I went to school up the road. I didn't go to college. I didn't do further education. My career started, interestingly, in the Northern Ireland Civil Service as an admin. I've worked in estate agent. I've worked in, where did I work in? The mortgage unit in First Trust now, part of AIB Group. And then I went to Dublin. I went to Dublin for all the wrong reasons, and I started in a call centre because it was the only job I could get. And my other half sister was leading the call centre. So that's where I started. And over the last sort of 25 years, I've worked in different companies. I've been self-employed contractor for most of it. And that's allowed me a lot of opportunity to see the different ways of working for different companies. And many of them are IT multinationals. And I was given an opportunity a long time ago to really build a team. And, in my last 20 years of sort of working here, it's really to look at, is everybody getting equal opportunity? And I'm going to talk about just really practically some of the stuff that I've seen and that we've implemented in PayPal. And I would say I'm not the head of diversity in PayPal. I'm the head of IT. It's my job to make sure that everybody in the company has the technology that they need to do their job. And that's hardware, that's software, that's multimedia, that's print, whatever people need. It's my team's job to make sure that that's there. And I have an amazing team. And I had the privilege of creating that team from zero about 5 years ago. We had just changed from an outsourced model, bringing it in-house. And for me, it was a great opportunity. And I knew what I wanted. I knew what we had to deliver. And I remember we had all the job specs, and we were meeting with TA, and it's like, okay, here's what we need. And at the time, I had a great mentor, and he had really challenged me to go take a step back and go, what's your skills? What skills do you not have? What skills, if you could have anything, could you get? And it was a really, really great piece of information that he gave me, because I've worked in companies where there's 3 or 4 carers. Now, I love my job. I like to think I'm quite good at it. But 3 or 4 of us with the same skill set doesn't actually get a lot delivered. You can just, I can't explain, I'm very numbers orientated. But everybody all numbers, we miss half of our audience. So I had this opportunity to create. I knew in Ireland I was going to need 4 managers. So I started to look and go, what do we get? And I went to our hiring team and I was like, okay, here's the job specs. And they said, okay. And I said, I'm a female leader in IT, which is pretty unheard of. And I want more females, and I want real diversity in my team. Absolutely, Kira. No problem. All our jobs are open to everybody. Anybody can apply. And there's the first bit that went wrong. Because every CV, and believe me, I got hundreds of CVs, was male. And there was 0 diversity. And I remember going back to our hiring team, and they were like, but Kira, it's on LinkedIn, it's on the web, anybody can apply. And right there, we started talking about pipelines. And I was like, but we're doing something wrong. And I sort of went out on a whim, and I told my manager, and the head of IT at the time was a great guy, Bradley Strock, and he was like, okay, Kira, we trust you. I thought, there's problem number 2. First director outside of North America in PayPal, and you're going to let me build my own org. But let me tell you, if you could fast forward 3 years, I have the most amazing dream team that I can work with in PayPal. And I did that because I started looking at my own people around me, who I worked with, who I knew, and went, where can I get the best people? At the time, I volunteered in a community centre, and I was leading the local community centre. And part of that, we had a programme, and down south it's a community employment scheme. And it's done with the Department of Social Welfare, where we're trying to get people who have been long-term out of work back into the workplace. Now, most of them in that community centre were doing very menial, basic jobs that we talked about earlier. And when I was there one evening and I was trying to do the payroll, and the piece of software was not my cup of tea. And trying to get people paid was a challenge that day because the person who normally did it was off sick. And a long story short was I left that community centre that night realising that half the people that were there could actually come work for me in PayPal. And they really, they could give you 10 reasons not to do it. I can't do it, I've got a disability, I've got children at home, I've never worked in corporate land, I can only do menial basic tasks. And I got really upset. And And at the time, I had a broken ankle, so I had crutches, right? Never go to Euro Disney with your nieces, right? See, there's one of them there. But anyway, I'd broken ankle, but anyway. And I started looking at the people that I worked with in the community centre, and I started talking to them. And it started getting really real of going, why do you work in the community centre? Why are you on a minimum wage job and you think it's something to be proud of? And I didn't want to belittle that they had got back into the workforce, because that's what the programme was. It is 2 years of allowing people to do training and actually get real work experience. And they were doing a brilliant job, by the way. My community centre run really efficiently, right? But I started talking to some of them of going, okay, where do you dream to be? You know, I say to people, dare to dream and dream big, right? Because in my experience, why not, right? We learn from failure. We learn by the mistakes that we make. So as I went back into PayPal the next day, I was fired up, and I was going to employ every long-term disabled, every long-term unemployed person that there was. But it wasn't practical, right? I worked in a building with no lift, and I worked on the first floor. And there was a lot of practicalities of going, this is insane. And, you know, PayPal had come an awfully, awfully long way. And that long conversation with TA, we really started talking about, where's the pipeline? Where are we looking to get the skills that we need? Now, I said to you, I manage IT. I manage a call centre, what we call a service desk, which is entry-level IT. I don't need people who have their degree and their master's and their doctorate. I need people who care about people, who can follow procedures, and who want to get people working. And I can't explain the light bulb moment that I had of going, these people can come in here. And instead of getting that minimum wage, they were going to get a decent wage, because our entry level into IT, it's not the worst in the industry, it's quite good. And we started hiring people, and look, it's not perfect. I loved initially it was around getting male-female diversity. But then it was, you know, really looking at disability, and that disability was driven by looking at the people around me and really looking at seeing the skills. We started, Stuart at the back, who works with me, came to me a couple of months ago and he said, one of the teams has a couple of deaf people and they're going to let them go because we brought them in as part of a pipeline for a quinoa of really giving people opportunity that haven't had it before. And it hadn't quite worked. And as he looked at the skill set and he talked to people, he said, but this person has an IT qualification, they're fairly passionate about it, can we give it a go? Absolutely, go for it. He says, just one little challenge, they're deaf. Now, I talk a lot, right? And some people would say, not being able to hear me sometimes is a good thing, right? But it really challenged us to look at going, well, why not? The roles that I was looking to fill at the time were service desk. They weren't on the phone. They're not face-to-face. They were chat. Because most people in PayPal with IT, they go onto the app or they just start a chat dialogue. And we realized, let's give it a go, right? Now, we're on a steep learning curve, right? When you try and plan team meetings and you have to plan it, right? He mightn't be able to hear, but he can talk. And he had so much to say and to really help us that he's starting to do a lot of training and really just making a little difference. And as I started to look at the opportunity, you know, I'm going to go backwards and forwards here a little bit. Way back at the Special Olympics, goodness, what year? 2003, 4? I can't remember. Anyway, early 2000s, I was one of the volunteers at the Special Olympics. And I can remember, I thought my job was to push wheelchairs. And I remember pushing a wheelchair for a person, and he said to me, "No, I just need you to carry my bags." And I was like, no, it's okay, I can get you up. And he was like, "No, my wheelchair's my legs. If you can just look past my wheelchair, you can actually see that I'm a person." And I say that just to give people that light bulb moment of going, shit, yeah. We just assume that we know what people need. We just assume that we see their skills and we see their desires and we know we can bring them. And I love bringing people on a journey. I say to people, don't tell me what you want unless you're prepared to work for it and get there. And I love people trying and learning new things. But it was a real moment for me of going, yeah, I'm here to serve people. I was here to really help out. And what I thought people needed and what they actually needed was totally different. And I watched that guy perform and do amazingly in the Olympics. And I took it a long way. It took me in my journey to really look at them and go, let's look at each other and let's look at the skill set. I have a number of people in the audience here who I know who have disabilities. And I challenge people here to go look past disability. And I'm going to pick on them just because they dared me to, right? Nicole. So a lot of people have heard about Sean being the organiser. So about 5 years ago, Sean said to me, "We're going to get this big conference over here, Ciara. It's going to be amazing. We're going to make this real about getting people into jobs." And behind every great person is a great wife. And Nicole sits there, and Nicole's also disabled, and she is amazing, right? She's certified blind, but yet she helps Sean get to his seat, right? She gets everything in advance of what he might need. And I loved listening when I came in this morning to her telling me that she'd recently been promoted and she's going to start doing the financial technician to become an accounts technician, right? She started in a job volunteering because she felt she wasn't good enough or that was the best that she could do. And I'd be a very, very proud auntie to look at her and go, girl, you're going places. It's not just your husband, so are you, right? Who else am I going to pick on? This is awful when I can't see in the light. John, my little cousin. John has cerebral palsy. And in one hand, you can say he can't use his right-hand side. And people, when he was much smaller, was like, he'll never work, he'll never walk, he'll never do anything. And well, he beats me to the desk, and he beats me to trying to get a Danish this morning. He can get there faster than me. But he's a qualified accountant. He's not somebody with a disability that's just trying to work. He is doing a job. Now, he's not working as an accountant at the minute, he's working in risk. But I say to people here, look at your skills. Look at what opportunities that you have. And to the employers here, we need to make pipelines for people. I'm working down south with the Irish Wheelchair Association, with Aquinwa, and a number of other charities. And in PayPal, we're making a commitment to going, help us help you get people into the workforce that meet with the disabilities. And we're committing to going, if you have people, we will interview them. Now, it's not perfect. In the current climate, when you're looking at headcount numbers and trying to keep it tight, employers here, it's a challenge, right? But you've got to look past the disability. You have got to look at the smile. I was listening earlier to the Senator, talking about a lot of companies, we put numbers on our diversity inclusion. We're going to get X amount, right? And in PayPal, we did the same. And we got people from the colleges, we got interns and all the various people. And then we seen them work. and the passion that people with a disability have. Sometimes I'm not sure if it's they feel they have to prove their worth, but when I hear people getting, prizes for not taking a day off, they are the people who are in work first. They are the people who finish the job. And I challenge employers here to really look at the pipeline that you've got for bringing people into the workforce. Because it's very, very easy for our TA team to go, anybody can apply for the job. But are we really looking where we need to get people? Are we really giving people opportunity? Last year, I was asked to try and help people out in California. And we were looking at people who had dropped out of school, who had a disability, who were living in a very poor neighbourhood, and people didn't have much hope for them. And there was a charity working with them and the Genesis program to really look and give them opportunity, to give them basic training of how to live outside of a violent home or whatever the scenario there are. So we took on 7 what we call young professionals. Most of them were 17. Most of them were dropouts of college. And in fairness, the Genesis program, they took them for 8 weeks. They gave them basic customer training. They taught them basics, how to behave in a workforce, how to behave and how to look. And what we were able to do was really take them and look, let's dream. Now, we didn't get it perfect. We thought we were going to have them on site in our San Jose office. And what we ended up doing was using them remotely in a different part of our team. And we did that because when we started looking at their skills and we started talking to them, it was going to intimidate the life out of them to really put them in front of, a Dan Schulman or, what I call the VIPs in PayPal that are all at the top in San Jose. They graduated 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and as part of that, they had to do this presentation, which absolutely drew me to tears, right? They all had 7 minutes to say what they'd learned and what they were taking away going into the workforce. And when I say dream big, I thought I was dreaming big. It just blew me away. They learned a lot of basic skills that we assume people have. They learned the value of talking and having people to support them. And one of the biggest takeaways for me as they spoke was having a manager. In my team, we do things like you need to have a one-on-one with every employee that you manage, at least weekly. You need to have a team meeting at least every other week. And a lot of them had never had that commitment before. They'd never had people that were prepared to invest in them to that level. But when we invested the time and just asking them how they were and what they needed, what they did for us was incredible. Because we were really proud to be able to offer 3 of them jobs and be able to go, stay with us full time, help us learn what you have, help us make a difference. And I say to employers here, we have to normalize skills. We have to look past, is it a wheelchair, is it, whatever the disability is, because they're humans. And I don't say that lightly, right? We have a sign as we walk into our building in PayPal that says, be yourself. Everyone else is taken. And I love it. It's like, don't spend time trying to be someone else. Be yourself. Dare to dream. Dream big. Oprah, I was listening to Oprah coming up in the car last night and said, ask yourself what brings you alive and go do it. And I challenge people here. Look at the job, look at your skill set, and decide what you can do, and dream big. If you have a skill, don't go for the menial, most basic job. Plan high, right? When I went into digital, way back, 96, I thought I was going to work in a call centre for the rest of my life, and It was a script, I could follow it, I had a great team around me, seemed good. And at the time I remember my granddad, and my granddad's a very profound man, so he was. And he was like, what are you going to do with your life? And I was all proud, I'd moved to Dublin, I had a job. And he's going, what are you going to do with your life? And I'm going, you're not proud? And I was like, I think I'm okay. And he says, come here and I tell you, Ciara. He says, I don't care what job you do, but whatever job you do, you be your best at it. And he said, if you're going to be a bin man, you be the best bin man in Belfast. He says, you be proud of taking the rubbish and keeping the place clean. You be proud of the job that you're making for a difference for people to have clean streets. And at the time, we didn't have the wheelie bins. It was the old-fashioned lift in and throw out. And I was like, yeah, not going to be a bin man. But it wasn't about being a bin man. It was about dreaming. It was about go be who you were made to be. And I think that's what started me of going dream big, right? Because then I wanted to take over the world. But I'm very much an introvert. This is not me in my comfort zone. But I'm very, very passionate about trying to get people on this journey, which is why Sean promised me several bottles of wine at this point to come speak. So I'm going to be very drunk in the next few days. But, start connecting with people. Start finding the people that you need to get you moving forwards. If you're here with a disability and you're not working, get a mentor. Get somebody who's going to bat for you and help you. I have found it so incredibly positive to have somebody that's going to challenge me, but also going to help me. And I've been very privileged. I've done the Sherry Blair mentor program for the last number of years of really helping people around the world who want to dare to dream, who want to really get places. And I always start with, tell me the 10 things you can do. And without fail, everybody starts with the 3 things. Well, actually, I can't do this, and I can't do this, but I can do that. And I go, no, I don't want to know what you can't do. We're really good at telling everybody what we fail at and where we can't go and why we can't do it. But I challenge people here, look at what you can do. Look at the skills you have and be really, really proud. Because there's not one person in this room that doesn't have skills. There's not one person here who can't be extraordinary. I love that word, extraordinary. It's like you can be extra normal or you can be fabulous. You can extraordinary or extraordinary. 2 different meanings, right? Reach out to somebody who's different to you. I got you all to say hello to people here. And it's like everybody sort of goes to the person that they're with or the person beside them. It's like, look for somebody who's different. If you're able-bodied, go to disability or vice versa. We had Magic Johnston at a conference a couple of weeks ago on PayPal, and he said, if you don't dream, you can't become. And I don't want people daydreaming and just not getting any work done, but I really say dream big, right? You cannot become the person you were created to be unless you take a step forwards. And for some people, that step's just going to be getting their CV written up. For other people, it's get involved with the charities, and there's so many groups of people that are willing to help, right? When I started looking at where our pipeline was, we had 4 or 5 charities screaming, going, we can help you, we can give you as many people as you want. And really helping those charities. So for us in PayPal, we've done a lot of work with the Irish Wheelchair Association of just telling them about PayPal, of telling the people who are working with people with a disability what we do. Because we have 3,000 people, just over 3,500 people working in the island of Ireland. And we have so many opportunities, be it customer service, be it risk, be it IT, and 20 other departments, right? And part of what we need to do as corporates is help those charities understand what skill set we need, how they get people in. And I go back to the start of going, if you're here as a corporate and we say we do DI, diversity and inclusion, DI, E and B, and belonging, everything that we say around equality, right? Put your money where your mouth is. If you've taken in people for the sake of numbers, go look at the performance of those people. I challenge you to go look and compare them to the other people in your orgs doing the same job. Because I've been blown away, and I've heard it here from multiple people this morning as we talk. They tend to work harder, smarter, than some of us, right? And don't be afraid to stand up. Don't be afraid to bat for them. Because, for me, some could say I took a big risk when I said to Brad all those years ago, I really want a diverse company. I really want IT to be a team that invites everybody. And Brad was really a huge advocate of mine, right? He was like, we're already trying, Ciara. We employed you, right? And I said to you, they'd never employed a director in IT outside of the Americas. And now I'm very proud that we've got 3. And we have a growing team, and we have growing opportunity. And the team that I've built around me, we're not perfect. I would tell everybody I have the dream team, and I honestly believe, I probably don't tell them enough, that they are a dream team for me, because I've come a long way. I was self-employed for 25 years, and my job was going into corporate multinationals and doing restructuring. And I got a very bad name at one stage in Dublin when I went into a company, and they were like, oh, we're going to have layoffs next week. But when I came into PayPal, I came in because for 2 reasons, right? One was I was at a stage in my life of going, I had built organisations, I'd built a restructuring plan, but I'd never watched people really implement it. So I told them what they need to do. And in PayPal, I was given the opportunity to build it from scratch, and I loved that. And then I realised I had to deliver what I'd promised. And I built a team around me that they do all the work. I take the glory, but I take all the shit as well. And I can be really, really proud of the team that we have. And look, no journey is smooth. There's a lot of ups and downs, and you're not going to get it right. And I will not stand here telling you that PayPal have got it right. I'm sure if PayPal had it right, they wouldn't have me here on the stage. They would have our head of diversity here. But I stand here as the head of IT of somebody that has passion for looking after people. And my big skill, I believe, is looking after people. It's not IT. People say you're a senior director in IT. Where, not even what's your qualification, where's your degree from? And I go, no. I started in a call centre. I was told to have passion. I was told to follow my dreams. And here I am. So if I then look to the employees, right, and I sort of said to you, be the master of your own success. Be healthy. Look after yourselves. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need. I mentioned John earlier. John's a qualified accountant. He had a native piece of software that reads the emails and reads what's on the screen to him. It probably cost $100, right? Some companies, it's like, oh, it's a big investment if I'm taking on somebody with a disability. Aren't we great, right? But I challenge you of going, the return on investment is incredible. But you have to find an employer that will work with you. You have to find somebody that's going to take your skills and use them to the best of your ability to help you grow as well as getting the company. And everybody has talent. Everybody has opportunity to grow and to learn. And we have to ask, right? A lot of people, it was mentioned in the BBC one just before that I was listening to, a lot of people are afraid, they try and hide their disability, right? And I get that. But that makes me proud in many ways of going, there are growing disabled group of people who want to work, who want to just go, here's the skills that I have. And you know, for some of us, we need to get our eyes tested. For some of us, we need to look past that wheelchair. We need to get a pipeline. We need to dream big. You know, I look at Sean, who told me a few years ago about this conference and what we were going to do here in Belfast. And I am so damn proud coming in here this morning to see the amount of work, the amount of desire to change, and the amount of desire to get people into employment. So, like I say, I can't see any of the pieces of paper that I'm looking at, right? But we're going to turn them over and see, is there anything there that I can actually see? But look, get a pipeline. Find companies that you can work with to get disabled people into your employment. And for those of you that are disabled, go stand up. Go be proud of who you are and what you can achieve, and find companies that you work with. And if it doesn't work, try again. First company you work with isn't going to be the one you stay with for the rest of your life, or maybe it will be, right? Certainly for me, I like to change every 2 years, but I stayed with PayPal because of their values. Their values talk about one-team behaviours. And for me, that just, it means a lot to me. It means, you know, when I go into work, that I know that people are striving for the same goals. We're striving for the same success in life. So if at first you don't succeed, try again, try harder. I can't remember, I've gone blank. Okay. Don't feel sorry for people. Don't hire people because you think you have to get numbers. And if you've already done that, I've said it and I'm saying it again. Go look at them, go smile at them, go talk to them. Don't be afraid to ask them how they are. When you're talking to disabled people, I have just been incredibly blessed to look past their disability. Don't always start with, how's your health, right? Look at the person. If they are working for you or for me in an IT environment, it's, how's the job going? What can we do for you to make a difference? And then listen. I said at the start, when I was doing the Special Olympics, I thought I knew what the people I was helping needed. And boy, was I wrong. And boy, did those 2 weeks bless me way more than probably anything else that I've done. So look, I'm supposed to be talking about PayPal, and I'm looking going, I'm supposed to be finishing soon so you can go get your lunch. Go talk to each other. Go build that pipeline. Go work with the charities here in Northern Ireland that are working so hard and have such passionate people. And a lot of them are volunteers. A lot of them have the desire to get people into the workforce. If you're a corporate here, if you're an employer here in Northern Ireland, go look for people. Don't, challenge your hiring team to not just say anybody can apply, right? Challenge them to going, are we getting people out of school? Are we getting interns? Are we taking risks? Are we investing? Are we putting budget aside to make sure that we're doing the right thing? Because my experience in PayPal has been, once you start there, the world's your oyster, right? I have taken people, I love watching career growth, right? I love seeing people grow and get an opportunity. And people get opportunity by, you need to give them the first step up onto the ladder. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Ciara, thanks so much. Some really good key messages in there. Let's take a break for lunch now, but it's a short one. There's more sessions starting again at 12:30 in here. It'll be with Microsoft. Thanks very much.